Good morning and afternoon and whatever time it is out there. Welcome to the second day of hashtag Art Project 2020, which is an Art and Tech Expo put on by Vancouver Biennale in partnership with so many people around the ideas of Jessica Angel's work and everything that it has brought forward. My name is Natalia Lebedinskaya. I'm the program director here at the Vancouver Biennale. And before we kick off day two, as is now the custom out here in Canada and growingly in other places around the world, I'd like to do a land acknowledgement. So we are gathered here today on the territories of many nations in Canada, on Turtle Island, and beyond. But I'm speaking here from Vancouver, from the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations territories, and within the framework of the treaties, written and unwritten, signed and unsigned, that are still going on, that define the land that we're in today. I think it's important to keep this in mind while doing things about the digital space, because that raises all kinds of questions, and I think we will be touching on some of those over the next few days of the conference. And today, we have a jam-packed day on ideas of everything from censorship to technical challenges to AI, a data art battle, and also the probably highlight of the day will be focusing on Jessica Angel's project, Voxel Bridge, and getting a little preamble tour of it with her and Raul from the Kusama Network. So really looking forward to that. That will be in the next couple of hours. Because of the difference in time zones, I'm just going to say it's going to be in 2 hours from now. And right now, I'm just going to kick it off to Jessica to introduce our first panel, which is on censorship in tokenized digital art. Broken barriers or the same old story? Questions of censorship never quite seem to leave. Maybe that's good. So over to you, Jessica. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. We start day two of the super intense week for us. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm really excited about this one conversation between Theo and Robness. I know them both from the crypto art community, and I've seen a little bit of friction between the platforms and maybe not as much as transparency as we would like to see. I personally am concerned of censorship and deplatforming in our lives sort of being unfolded in the digital space, which is what's happening now. Big data, like there's really a lot of things that the blockchain sort of movement wants to tackle by creating new ways of interacting. So I do see that the blockchain community and the blockchain projects are a little bit falling in the same sort of mistakes that we want to sort of break with this new technology. So I think this is, for me, one of the highlights of the whole event, because it really brings that sort of critical view on this technology that we all cherish. So I really want to hear your thoughts on that. So I'll just hand it over to Theo, who will be the host of this conversation, and let's make it hot, because this is a hot topic. So I'll leave you guys alone. Welcome. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jessica. Yeah, I also want to thank the Vancouver Biennale again and Jessica. So yeah, let's get into it. I think that we can start just like Jessica said. So why are we here? Why are we using blockchain? Why are we using tokens? And why do that instead of making cut and paste photocopied zines or oil paintings and physical collages? I think of censorship resistance as one of the main things for cryptocurrency, paying cryptocurrency, and for people out there that have never heard of something, it sounds really big, censorship resistance. I think that would go down to what in Room 77 in Berlin people called freedom of transaction. So that just means that a transaction is a form of communication. And Bitcoin, if you send Bitcoin from A to B, no one can stop you from sending it to an address. There's no permission needed. So I think that's a fundamental of why we're using blockchain. But now, Rob, what do you think? How can we, think of freedom of transaction, censorship resistance in terms of tokenized art?
Yeah, I think quite honestly, I mean, we were kind of just setting this up before we started, but I mean, I think the ethos is the most important and kind of what keeps everything together. So regardless of like my past with certain platforms, I think personally that to keep things very open is the crux of the whole thing. Just to be able to be free to express yourself. And to be honest, I'm starting to see kind of patterns where you have Facebook, Twitter, you have major platforms, and these are the only on-ramps to go on. I'm afraid that some platforms will get to that point. And it's weird because I feel like with the blockchain technology, I feel like it'll move quicker because there's already a paradigm that's been built to model after. And I think that the best thing we can do is just, I don't know how to say it, but just to go another path. And I think the Bitcoin ethos is the most important. It was permissionless to begin with. It didn't ask to do this or that, or in my case, with the trash can itself, it was more so being worried about the suits and ties of the old world. We're moving into a global art movement. Copyright law in many other different countries work in different ways, so it gets a little hairy with that. I talked with Sasha from Blockchain Art Exchange with European copyright law and so forth. But I think to worry about copyright law right now and in the infant stage is just kind of it's ridiculous, in my personal opinion. It stifles creativity. I think worrying about what you're going to put out on certain platforms, you might as well go back to what you were doing before in the old paradigms. I want to stress that every artist, take it to the max, do whatever you want. If you have to take the risk, do it. I did it. Unfortunately, I had to pay the price for it, but there are other avenues in crypto art world to make a living. If you start to understand how cryptocurrency works, how you were saying the transactional layers work, it's infinite. There's tons of ways to make an income through this technology. I think people are, I'm riffing right now, but I think the bidding apparatus, I think a lot of artists, when they come into the space, they automatically think that the bidding process is the only way to generate an income. There's plenty of ways to do it.
Well, let me just jump in there because let's talk about a few things. So you were talking about you paid the price. I think we should back up a little bit. So we have, for example, some of the biggest platforms, Super Rare, Known Origin, are invite only, in the sense where if I'm an artist and I want to be on that platform, then I have to apply. Which on the first scope of it, why not? It's their house, it's their game, it's their gallery or whatever you want to call it. Then you apply. I think that where there were some disagreements or discussion where some people got kicked off for kind of different reasons. Maybe they claimed they were kind of arbitrary reasons. So they were just like, okay, off. And what Rob was saying is he thinks that it's going to be more centralized sooner, in the sense like Facebook. So like now, Facebook is kind of having its time where people leave, but it's kind of like if you don't have a Facebook, then it's unusual. Most people have one. You need Facebook Connect to connect to something. And so we don't want to have a situation where if you're doing crypto art, you need to have a Super Rare or you need to have a Known Origin. And by the way, everyone out there, I like Super Rare and Known Origin. I know those guys. Both of them personally.
Yeah, I love them. Yeah,
I hung out with them. We're actually talking about them just because they're big and they're actually good platforms. It's just that it gets complicated. It's kind of like when you're in a relationship with someone. Shit gets really complicated sometimes.
Yeah, and a lot of these are community-based. The problems were community-based too. And but I mean, I think just to start actually thinking about and worrying about that platforms can get super centralized super quick, and let's just say I don't want to use OpenSea. Let's just put that as an example. Where do I go? You know,
Well,
so
I think that OpenSea is kind of different
mhm.
because you're kind of automatically on OpenSea if you do an Ethereum token NFT at all. It kind of automatically detects you. So for people that are not watching, OpenSea is a marketplace and it's pretty open. Anyone can buy and sell on there. Pretty much any token is available there to buy and sell. So that's kind of different where you don't have to ask permission to get on there. I think that so I was going to go through actually, believe it or not, back in the dark ages of NFT world. Maybe people don't realize, but I was part of a curation team for the Rare Pepe Foundation. So you had to actually apply your Pepe to be included in the Rare Pepe directory, and the Rare Pepe Foundation scientists approved or disapproved of it. And we did disapprove some. Now we approved most, but we did have our limits. Some of them were technical limits. It was image size, or content was just too much, let's say. But there were some, and so I mean, you could say I censored people by saying they're not allowed in on the Red Pepper directory, or we as a curator said they're not allowed. And also, I think maybe Rob, I might have kicked you out of the Telegram at some point, but I don't know. You probably got back in for you
Yeah, I think full
for
disclosure,
you
I broke some
well,
rules in the Rare Pepe Telegram as well. So
yeah, yeah.
it's
So we
not
had
only super rare, guys. I broke rules
yeah,
before I even
yeah.
landed in your
No. I
territory.
think I've
Don't worry.
banned him. I've banned him in a Telegram channel before. But he got back. But it was about there was a policy about advertising other projects kind of thing, and it was getting kind of sensitive, and I don't remember exactly what it was. Maybe it was something around that. But anyway, so I'm just saying it doesn't fall, everyone has to have, there's always going to be a limit if you have some kind of community, open or closed, depending on how much, where you have to set rules and guidelines. We just have to check ourselves that we don't fall into these centralized things. I want to, when you were talking, actually, what I realized though is I think we can go do a real good positive spin on this, because a lot of the so-called deplatforming or censorship fuels a lot of the innovation in the crypto art space. I think in the past, and still does, because people, I mean, Rare Pepe started because Spells of Genesis didn't have the option for community generated content. So if they had that, it might not have happened. So I think your trash art thing, or actually a lot of people that were somewhat pissed off for whatever reason about getting kicked off, it fueled a lot of art and it fueled a lot of innovation.
Yeah.
And some discussion, and some negative discussion too, I would definitely say. But I think in the end, those people quickly did a lot of art, or quickly built their own platform, or quickly joined another platform and built with it actively. Do you see
Yeah,
that too?
I do actually, because when when I basically, I mean, I was still on Origin, but when I got removed from Super Rare, uh, Max Osiris and I, the only option we really had was Known Origin, which we were using already, but Rarible was just, just another startup at the time, and I remember, they would ask around for artists to get on their platform, and we just said, let's give it a shot. But as we were using it, we realized that it was really open, no questions, we didn't have to cite anything and this and that, so we could put up pretty much whatever we wanted. But I like that too, because I mean, from our experience, memes kind of help build this house. I mean, that's kind of the
Yeah.
secret of blockchain art. And so I immediately saw that Rarible was a catalyst for that. If you wanted to make some type of meme or some type of joke or some type of whatever entity you wanted, you could do it. So Max and I were kind of like, this is the place to go to at least have some fun, and just, we don't have to worry about this is going to be the piece. And I'm going to spend 3 months. If I just want to, blurt something out, I can do it, and whether it be a sketch or GIF or whatever.
Robness, it sounds like you're just making bullshit. You're just spitting stuff out. What the hell? You mean that? Hey, man, I did this with my hands. This took hours of handcraft, and
Yeah,
I even went to art school.
yeah,
So
right.
don't worry, I'm qualified
You
to
got
do this as
credentials,
well.
man.
I've got credentials, and
Yeah,
I did this with my hands. Now, any serious collector would understand. What
right.
I but let's we only have 5 minutes left, which is kind of crazy. But
I know. I love it.
let's go to some concrete examples. So I think in modern NFT time, concrete examples. I remember. I think it was end of 2018 or early 2019, probably early 2019, or no, late 2019, pre-pandemic, let's say. Uh, I believe it was, you said, so you told me it was a screenshot of a crypto voxels
Yeah,
land plot or whatever, and
yeah,
you made an NFT of it, and you got in trouble for that. Is that
yeah.
correct?
This is another super rare story, but I mean, I thought it was funny during when CryptoVoxels was starting out, kind of building out. It was kind of like a wasteland at the time, a lot of empty plots, and it kind of reminded me of Burning Man, where there's just a bunch of funky stuff just scattered in it. And I just thought to myself, it'd be interesting to just do some virtual photography. So I took a picture of my plot and I called it virtual photography number one. Then started going to other plots and started taking pictures of those. And then I got a message saying, oh, you can't take pictures of other buildings because of this and that. I was kind of like, but it's funny because it kind of picked up. I saw some other artists start doing it too, and now I mean I look back at those builds. It's kind of like memories. Crypto timeline moves so quickly that now those things look ancient. It's like you look at crypto boxes now. There's tons of plots everywhere. I should have done some for Decentraland, but it didn't
Sure.
get
Well,
Decentraland.
how about the Bitcoin and Ethereum logo? Didn't you do like so
Yeah,
basically? I mean, I think a lot of also for people watching that aren't into crypto, I think a lot of this is also a stylistic misunderstanding sometimes between traditional art, pop art, and some things between, and some modern things between, and some people it's always this often boring discussion, is that art, which I don't think any of us really want to have. But some people say, like probably heard Rob say right now, yeah, I just want to spit some stuff out, and they'll be like, oh no, you have to spend
yeah,
96 man hours by hand oil to be considered fine art, which fine, but that's probably not relevant in the modern times, especially in the NFT world. So,
yeah. Well, it's funny because I mean, my theories on that is, I mean, I like, I said in the previous talk, but I like super complicated art and I like very simple art. I don't think a time frame matters in the matrix of making a piece that affects millions of lives. I don't know.
mm-hmm.
I think sometimes I don't even think it's the artist. I think it's just them being
Yeah.
at a certain place at a certain time, and the universe decides that this is going to be the piece that will move a lot of people. So it's kind of weird. It's like I don't even take credit for the art that I make. I feel like I'm just a vessel because just from my musician side of things too. It's like sometimes you're just writing something and it just flows through. Like
Yeah.
you can't explain it. You can't
Hey,
quantify it.
imagine if radio stations said, "I'm not going to play music with samples in it" when sampling started, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, because a lot of the discussion is about the so-called remixing, and sure, people do push the border of remixing art so far, sometimes tongue in cheek, but
mhm.
still, it still is its statement in itself. And I think people really need to take a look at music sampling and how that worked, and how taking bits and pieces of other people's art sometimes is not only an honor but can create a completely new context for
Yeah.
what's going on. So if you're watching this now and you want to take a screenshot of my head,
You can
then
remix it. Remix me if you
maybe
want. I don't care.
yeah, who knows, maybe they want to make a negative piece. I don't mind
Yeah.
either. But so we have 30 seconds. Romnus, now it's the time for force prediction. So, when is the $1 million NFT going to be sold? More accurate prediction gets more cred.
June 2021, right before summer.
Good. That's pretty exact. Okay, since we're running to the end, I'd like to thank Vancouver Biennale a
Thank
lot
you
for
guys.
having
Thank you
us.
so much.
Thank Jessica Angel and check us out at Art Project Decentralized in Telegram. And yeah, the clock is still going, so we'll just keep talking till they kick us out.
Most definitely.
But,
I want to riff on the remixing real quick.
yeah, riff.
Yeah. So with sampling, I got this weird thing. I feel like sampling is like time travel. So you know, the most famous sample, the Common Break sample, the James Brown break. Every time that thing's sampled, it's not just the fact that the beat is great. You know, I mean, it's funky as hell. Everyone knows that. But there's a lot of other factors. You know, the audio fidelity. It just, you know, you're taking something that was recorded in the 60s. There's a certain feel. It's like you're almost taking that time frame and putting it into your piece. So when I look at people remixing, or just, I noticed a lot of artists are remixing classical pieces, you know, in the crypto art scene. You know, I love that. It's just you're taking two different timelines and just smashing them together, and whatever comes out gives you a different feeling. But I that's why I love the remixing thing, because you're taking so many different timelines and pushing them together, and sometimes if it's done really well, something new pops out. And so yeah, and it's a remix culture for sure, you know, and I'm definitely a big proponent of that. I just think that right now worrying about copyright in the crypto art space is, I don't know, it's too early. It's too early for any of these.
Have there been any? Can you think of a concrete example of a copyright violation that was really caused someone to get deplatformed or cause some kind of stress? I can't. Can you think of one?
In the space right now, besides me?
Yeah. Okay, what was the one that you got copyright?
Oh yeah,
Bitcoin logo or what?
Yeah, it was the 64-gallon toter. That was the piece, because like Super Rare thought it was a Home Depot image that I used, and to be honest, I don't know what image I used, because I did it so quickly and moved. You know, I just wanted to make something really quick and just was moving around and used photo mosh and boom boom, and that was that. So even I don't even know.
That would be a great story if it was true, because that could get nationwide or
yeah. I was joking. You know, people have been comparing the shop piece to that. You know, and I was saying the other day, I thought it was funny that they both came from hardware stores. You know, so you know.
So yeah, so we've come real full circle. We've come to how can we transact value on the internet without censorship. So anywhere in the world, so if I could send you a Bitcoin anywhere in the world to pictures of large trash cans that have been tokenized, and platforms being afraid that a picture of a trash can might have violated a Home Depot copyright. I mean, we've really come a long way if that's what is going on. But actually, also, I think that the art, this whole NFT thing, art, pop art, all that stuff, is where a lot of the pushing the limits of some of the whole blockchain technology at all. I mean, if you think about it, Rare Pepe caused a lot of Bitcoin transaction traffic. CryptoKitties almost destroyed, clogged Ethereum completely.
Right.
When it really got popular, and so I think that a lot of this stuff is a precursor to major expansion and outreach. So right now it's already, we see a lot of this. I think in a few years it could really blow up even more than it has. And
I hate to say it, but I mean, digital art now, it's already done. I mean, the transition, the transmission of it is so quick. That's why memes exist to begin with. But I mean, the thing that people don't want to hear in the fine art world is that a lot of this art will be acting like MP3s do. And we all know how MP3s and Napster and all this stuff, the evolution of that. But the kicker, though, for me is that since it's tokenized, that's a whole different dimension completely. The fact that you can collect it and everything. So I think that's the saving grace of that. And then that's why I think, the music industry will come in. So it's kind of weird. It's like the music industry got screwed.
Yeah.
The art world kind of didn't know what was going on because they weren't even part of it. But now the crypto art world has fixed that problem a little bit. And then music will come like right after and start to benefit from it. And there are musicians that are benefiting.
Yeah, I definitely see some people doing a lot of music stuff, myself included, videos and music.
Yeah.
Okay, we got the last 5 seconds. I want to thank again the Vancouver Biennale.
Thank
Thanks,
you, guys.
Rob. And you can
Thank
find
you.
us on Twitter. Thanks a lot.
All right.